Hello everyone, I'm Brian, welcome back, and let's go to continue.
So much, Sadhguru. Now we shall move on to the next session, that is social media questions that we have received. The questions will also be displayed on the screen, and also Abhijit will read them out.
So, as we have a very limited time, so we'll be going through only one question. So, this question we got it from Red FM campaign. So they came and then they asked some questions to the students. And this question was asked by Nangu C. Sari. And she asked, why do people from Northeast India feels alienated from the mainland India?
Hold on, wait. Northeast. Now, mind you, I know in the southeast, I believe, I haven't looked at India in a while, I believe there is an island out there, right? Again, haven't looked at the map. But outside of that one island, I believe everything else is considered to be mainland India. I get what they're trying to say. There's the mainland, which is connected to all the other continents, or sorry, not the other continents, sorry, it's attached to the continent of Asia. That's attached to other countries, while there's the one that's surrounded by water, as in not necessarily part of the mainland. I get that, but Northeast? Is there like an island out there that I just somehow miss? Or I'm wondering if they consider like the central part of India to be the mainland, and then the external northeast, northwest, south, and all that to be not mainland?
As I told you earlier, it was a well-intentioned plan which went bad. Intention was not to disturb the tribal culture, not to disturb the nature, but somewhere after 20 years when we saw people are aspiring for something else, we should have changed the plan. But in India, changing plan takes a long time. So now it's changing. I think you will not feel alienated. In another 5 years, you will not feel alienated, you will feel invaded by all kinds of people. Once the highways are laid all over, railways are laid all over, so you will not be complaining, you will be reverse complaining. But stop calling India mainland India, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sadhguru.
Thank you, Sadhguru. It was wonderful interacting with you. We now open the floor to the audience. Audience, anyone who has question to Sadhguru can now ask question to him.
सदगुरु को मेरा नमन।
नमस्कार।
सदगुरु, ये मेरा प्रश्न नहीं, अभी तो एक जिज्ञासा है। This is not a question but a curiosity. Okay, I think you all can hear me. The thing is that we are sitting in the temple of knowledge, and we are the striver or seeker of the knowledge. We always quest about knowledge. But the question here is, how much knowledge should we attain? I mean, knowledge is not sufficient, whatever quantity that we attain, but more important than attaining the knowledge should be understanding and then the implementation of knowledge. In India, basically in our education system, we see the stress is upon the imparting the knowledge. Whether the person understands it or implements it is invalid. So how can we improve upon that, sir?
Well, education, both school and college education as we know it right now, could become absolutely irrelevant in this world in the next 10 to 15 years' time.
You know, him saying that, it makes me think of the AI, was it GPT chat, Bard, all these things, you know. I will say, I wouldn't say they'll necessarily become irrelevant, because I think we as humans at the moment will still have to continue to explore knowledge, because obviously we don't know everything in the universe, and then import that knowledge to these things, these AIs. But I think for probably the majority of people, maybe perhaps that's what he's talking about, where, you know, we don't need to study books or anything. We could just talk to Chat GTP or whatever they're called, or Bard or whatever. Hey, whatever your AI system is, what's the answer to this? And it'll just pop up with an answer.
Maybe in India it will take 20 to 25 years' time. But all the knowledge that you acquire in a matter of 25 years of education, normally 20 years of education or so. Even if you come out with a PhD, it's approximately 25 years of education. In this 25 years, after your PhD, what you know, in another 10-15 years, a simple gadget which is smaller than your phone will know more than you. So, this form of education, of accumulating information and thinking we are getting somewhere, will become irrelevant because once this little machine knows all this, we can program other machines which know this and it will also implement it. They are looking at right now. There are experiments like this going on. They are looking at how a robotic machine, right now they got little fanciful commercial companies, they're trying to build a man or a woman who will fool other people that you cannot make out whether this is real or this is robotic. But it's not necessary, it can be a square machine which does everything that a human being does. The aesthetics of it is not really important.
As a matter of fact, real quick, I ended up watching a YouTube video and they had, I think, 7 or 8 humans mixed, I think mixed between male and female. It might have been an even split, I'm not sure, I can't remember. And 1 robot. And it went to like 5 to 7 rounds, and mind you, after every round they eliminated 1 person. And it wasn't until like 5 or 7 rounds that they finally figured out who the robot was. It was very interesting. And this is is it called a Turing test? I think it's a Turing test, where it's a test basically that you test a robot, and without being able to see them, you ask questions, kind of like one of the, I guess the questions I remember, it's like, what do you see there? And they'll be pointing at a window. A robot would typically answer, I see a window. I see a glass window, or do you see the grass behind the window? Whereas a human might see, like, I see freedom. I see a playground. And there's no playground there, but they see, like, they can kind of express artistically something, you know, metaphorically, I suppose. Metaphors of things, not seeing something as for what it is or the materials, but more of metaphors of what it could be, or symbolism. Jeez.
Right now they're trying to make it acceptable, so it's taking a long time. But if you just make it like this furniture, which does everything that a human being does, now they're looking at how a machine could engineer a whole building and order other 10 machines to build the whole building without a single human being. These experiments are already on and they're quite successful. The Honda company chairperson has promised by 2050, he will have a robotic football team which will win the World Cup football. Everything that the best players in the world know about football, they will program it into that machine. That machine will move better than any football player, kick the ball whichever way you want, everything. So, the way we are valuing information right now, if I know something, information that you do not know, suddenly I am superior to you. This is how our whole thing about… You know, there was a time when everybody was illiterate. There was one man in the village who could read a book. People would sit there gaping at him because he can read from a paper. He's saying so many things from a paper. People sat there gaping. I've seen such situations. People can't believe all this is there in this book. So just reading a book, people acted divine. People who can read a book, they're acting like they're agents of God, aren't they, all over the world? Hello? Just because they can read a book. So now it's becoming irrelevant because everybody can read. Similarly, when the machines can remember… See, this process of acquiring information, analyzing and applying, this a machine can do better than you. The Google lady knows much more than any of you. Yes or no? Ask her anything without batting an eyelid, she'll say. Yes? Not even taking 2 seconds to answer. Just like that. And she is nothing. What is now happening In the next 10 years, what will happen is such, one cell phone-like machine can store information about everything in the universe if you wish, and can act, can process and act. Not just you have to look for it can process and act looking at the situation as you can act. So this dimension of education, of gathering information, analyzing and applying, this will become meaningless in a short period of time. Well, it's a strange thing that people have been inviting me in the last 1.5, 2 years to speak in all kinds of artificial intelligence conferences. When initially they called me, I said, why me? I'm not an artificial intelligence, I'm a natural intelligence. Why do you think I'm a robotic person or something? They said, no, the problem is we will lose our jobs. What are we supposed to do? I said, that means it's a holiday. Isn't it fantastic?
I will say this though about that. It's how do I say? It's the process of getting there. It's going to be the process between the start of the loss of the jobs until all jobs are lost and everyone is comfortable. Is this in between these two parts is going to be the roughest part, because you're going to have people in between these parts where they lost their job but don't have a comfortable living because that has not been set up yet. There's not enough of the jobs has been completely taken over. Manufacturing, production, all that is still, you need money to pay for all these, and all these jobs are lost by machines, and these people that lost their jobs to machines don't have money to pay for food. Until all jobs are done by machines and it's all essentially free, until that point it's going to be a rough period. And you know, I don't know how, I don't know, hopefully I won't be alive and for that point. I don't know, it's just going to be kind of rough. Hopefully it's a smooth transition though, so long as it's lost slowly and we make it up in other ways, which I've said before on this channel. YouTube didn't used to be a thing, I don't know how many years ago, but you know, there are a lot of people out there who create YouTube videos who've never held a 9-to-5 job, and then there's a way of making a living. Entertainment seems to be the art, seems to be the way, you know, doing songs, musics, philosophy, entertainment is the only thing that perhaps humans can provide until robots take that over too.
Hello? The machine does everything. Isn't it fantastic? Right now, just look back and see, 100 years ago, everybody was doing everything with a crowbar and a pickaxe. Now I see earth mover machines are operating. Now even the menial labor, if you withdraw the machine and say, use the crowbar, he says, no, I won't do it, ask the machine to do. Yes or no? Human muscle, what all it could do, a man's muscle, now is irrelevant because the machine can do what 1,000 men can do, it can do alone by itself. Similarly, what these 1,000 minds can do, intellects can do, if one machine can do, is it not a great relief? Hello? Is not fantastic? It is. So, but people are worried, what will we do? Now this is a great possibility, because once there is no need to acquire information and process it and act smart in front of other people, all this is gone. Now, very, very important, because I will become very significant. Because what can you do beyond the intellect? Other dimensions of intelligence, if you do not explore, you will feel like a dumb idiot in front of that machine. But there are things human being can do, which a machine cannot do. We called you a human being. We did not call an elephant as an elephant being, tiger as a tiger being, an ant as an ant being, a giraffe as a giraffe being. We only called you as a human being. Why do you think? Because you are supposed to know how to be. No other creature knows how to be, nor does anybody, any machine knows how to be. This one creature knows how to be. So, golden era for human societies are coming if they figure out what else to do with myself. When everything that you call as work is done by machines, what is the significance of being human? If you realize this, it's golden era. If you don't, you will go crazy or you'll get drunk. Yes. When people don't know how to handle life, one option is get intoxicated, isn't it? It gives you a pleasant death. Yes, please.
Thank you, Sadhguru.
Anybody, take the microphone.
Good evening, Sadhguru.
Where are you, where are you?
My name is Ria. I'm a research scholar from the
Where are you?
Northeastern Hill University. You're probably not being able to see me because I'm talking to you from outside the auditorium.
Okay.
My question to you is regarding dealing with peer and societal pressure. Since I'm a research scholar, I'm involved with my study, which is going to take a long time to complete. But when I look at my friends, from my school and college days, they are already employed, and I can see them, they're going quite ahead in this fast-paced world. What I want to know from you is how do I deal with this peer pressure and societal pressure so that there is a peace of mind at the end of the day? Thank you.
I mean, I'm sorry, but Sadhguru just has this one beautiful answer I think that everyone needs, and it's sorely needed, honestly, is to be okay with yourself. That above all else. There was a question that I actually want to address in another video. It was a question. It wasn't a question. It was just they made a statement, but it's in a lot of sense similar to this. And it's the fact that what I mean by to be okay with yourself is to mean that regardless of what's going on outside, you're okay with yourself. A lot of people can think a lot of things, but if you're okay with yourself, of what you're doing, like, yeah, sure, maybe I should have been done with this 5 minutes ago, but you know what, I'm fine. So long as it's, obviously, you know, you're not being paid to do that. You know, if you're working a job, you have to do your job in a timely manner. Don't get me wrong on that one. But if you're, you know, if you're having to pay a bill or something, obviously you have to make haste. But if it is something that you're it's a passion project or something, take your time on it. Do it at your own pace, because if you're rushing, what does it say? Haste makes waste is one possibility of it. But just being okay with yourself. I don't know. I say that. What does that mean? What do you have to do? Yeah, that's a difficult part. I think one possibility of that is Sadhguru's inner engineering. I've never taken it. I do want to take it. I will do it someday. But I do believe that may be a method of how to get there. I, for one, myself, am mostly okay with myself. So there's no pressure or anything like that. And if she can be okay with what she's doing, she won't have any societal pressure or peer pressure. And plus, I don't think, one, society isn't necessarily pushing. No, there's no those person called society that's pushing her. She has to understand that. Two, her peer pressure. Now, if they're her friends, you know, just like, hey, look, you know, maybe you want to hurry up, but you know, don't make waste, or don't make waste. Haste makes waste. You know, take your time. You know, be supportive. Just give her the facts. Give her the truth. So, you know, I don't know whether, you know, they like the truth, meaning in being hurried. It's like if you want to start a family, and you know, then for females, they generally do have a time frame, a time limit that they have to do that in. But just say, hey, look, you know, understand this is what you want to do, but remember, you do have a time frame. But just so long as you know how long it takes you to do this and what time frame you have, you should be all right. Again, try to answer that question. It's very similar to this in another video, but I genuinely think if you can be okay with yourself, I say that, but what does it mean? Essentially, it means you're not bothered by anything, or most things. Let me put it that way. Not bothered by most things. Not bothered by societal pressure, not bothered by peer pressure, not bothered by your own thoughts, not bothered by your own deadlines in some sense. And the reason why you're not bothered by things is because you understand. You understand that maybe in society they have this expectation, but you don't want that expectation. You don't care about it. Then don't be bothered by it. Maybe you know, you have what is it? You have a deadline for something. You know, you have a few days to do it, but you did everything you possibly can to try to get that done before the deadline, but there's production issues, and there's nothing you can do about it. So why be worried about it? So, and you can explain that to your boss, like, hey, look, tomorrow I'm gonna talk to my boss about it, and if he says nope, it has to be done by that day, it's like, well, there's nothing I can do, so I ain't gonna worry about it anyway, because sorry, I may be talking too fast, but yeah, I'm not gonna be worried about it anyway, because I can want it as fast as I want, but if production can't keep up, I can't do anything about it. Talk to your boss, say, hey, look, I can't get this done because there's not enough production or whatever. No matter how fast, how much he wants you to get it done fast, you tell him, like, I can't do it unless either you have another solution, it's like, hey, if you want it done this quickly, we have to do this, we have to spend more money, or if this is the only amount of money you want to spend, this is the fastest we can get it done. Those are the two options he's got. To be okay with yourself. That is a weird explanation.
Oh, peace of mind should not be at the end of the day. It should be at the beginning of the day. Hello? Well, I was supposed to speak. Ria, we cannot see you, I'm not even able to see the screen. Is she on the screen? No. I was to speak in Tel Aviv. I flew out of Atlanta in United States. I'm supposed to land there mid-afternoon and speak at 6:30 in the evening. Due to some delays in flight, I ended up there at 6 in the evening. I landed at 6, 6:30 is my talk. I have a problem because in this 36 years, I have not been late to a single event yet. So
like
today
that.
I don't want to lose my reputation, so I quickly change in the airport and rushing. I'm traveling an American airline, so there is nothing edible on the plane. So I'm super hungry, famished. But there's no time to even grab something. So I just rushed. And when I went to the venue, this doesn't happen to me at all, but on that day, the venue is a fine restaurant. I'm speaking in a very fine restaurant. That's where the meeting is.
Can you smell the food?
I thought, this is a fantastic place to come to when you're so hungry. Then people have already gathered and people are coming in, some people are greeting me. One man comes to me and says, Shalom. I ask him, what does it mean? He says, this is the highest way of greeting. I said, well, that's your opinion. What does it mean? He said, no, this is really the highest way of greeting. All right, what does the word mean? He said, it means peace. I said, why is peace the highest way of greeting unless you're born in Middle East? In South India, if you come up in the morning and say, peace, I'll say, what's wrong with you today? True with Northeast also, isn't it? Somebody comes and says, peace. Say, are you nut? Nutcase or something, what's the matter with you? But in Middle East, peace is the highest level of greeting, because all the time people have been clashing for so long, they have forgotten what is peace. Somebody has to come and greet you, peace. So, peace is not at the end of the day. It should be at the very beginning of the day, because can you enjoy your breakfast in the morning if you're not peaceful? You need not be ecstatic, at least you must be peaceful to enjoy the breakfast, isn't it? Can you enjoy a walk along the street if you're not peaceful? Hello? Can you enjoy the company of a few people that you know in your life if you're not even peaceful? You may not be in love with them, but at least if you're peaceful, you enjoy somebody's company, isn't it? So peace is not the final thing in your life. Those people who think peace is the highest value, such people will only rest in peace.
They have no choice at that
So, Ria,
point.
don't ever think peace is at the end of the day. No. It's very important. You must be blissed out. If that is not possible for you right now because I don't know what's your subject of research, But at least you must be peaceful. Even if you want to research, research means something that's already there, you are trying to see it and articulate it, right? When you're not peaceful, you don't even see what is in front of you. Yes or no? Have you noticed on a certain day you are all disturbed, you're looking for your car keys everywhere and the damn thing is in your hands? So how will you do research if you don't even know peace? Peace just means that you are in a certain state of pleasantness of mind. And this is needed. There is substantial scientific evidence to show you that only when you are in a pleasant state of experience, your body and your mind functions at its best. But the department is coming. It should come, you know. But right now, people have made peace of mind the last thing in their life. It's like this. If your body is pleasant, we call this health. It's pleasant. That's why I'm feeling healthy, isn't it? If it becomes very pleasant, we call it pleasure. If your mind is pleasant, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it joy. If your emotions become pleasant, we say you're in love. If it becomes very pleasant, we say you're in compassion. If your very life energies become pleasant, we say you're in bliss. If it becomes very pleasant, we say you're in ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, this means success. Only for making surroundings pleasant, you need the cooperation of other people. But body pleasant, mind pleasant, emotion pleasant, energy pleasant is 100% your business, yes or no?
I guess this is somewhat of what I was trying to articulate, as in you have to be okay with yourself. You don't have. I'd say you don't have to be pleasant. Hey, that's just a bonus for me. But being content. Again, I say these lower standards only because I don't want. There are some people out there who think that if they don't get bliss or pleasantness, that they failed and they stop. But contentment is I think, a little bit easier to achieve. And for me, it's actually good enough. I like it. I don't want to be happy all the time, because then my tolerance for happiness becomes more difficult. It's kind of like, I guess, rich people when they buy a yacht and all of a sudden they see a bigger yacht. It's like, well, this tiny 150-foot yacht, it's not making me happy anymore. I need a bigger yacht. I need a 200-foot yacht. You know. So you're the more the how do I say, the more well, that's external happiness for sure, but it's just contentment to me. It's a much better position, because then you can always be happy. Happy by the things externally. But yeah, contentment. I always say that, and that's what I'm at. I don't think I'm generally happy, mostly content. Not usually stressed, not usually saddened. Don't get me wrong, I still feel those things, and throughout the day I get those occasionally, but they are pretty short, generally speaking.
Now your friends are doing whatever they're doing in cities or wherever else they are. But for you, one thing has happened, you're in the refuge or the comfort of a university. Surrounding is already pleasant. It's a big thing. Creating a pleasant surrounding. Why do you think people want to build their own house and populate it with people who love them?
Just want to be
They
success.
want a pleasant surrounding, isn't it so? Hello? You don't want to live with somebody who hates you. Nothing wrong with that person, it's just that it's not pleasant for you, isn't it? You want somebody who loves you, who wants somebody who is pleasant around you, and you want an atmosphere that's pleasant around you. To do this, they work for a whole lifetime. Here, the university is providing you a pleasant surrounding, and you already said your research is going to take a long time, which is not good. You must finish it as quickly as possible. But Keeping your body, mind, emotion and energies pleasant is 100% your business. Only if you do that, your research could become some kind of a worthwhile phenomena. Otherwise, somebody who cannot even harness peacefulness in their mind, what great things will they do? If you cannot manage your mind, what big things are you going to do in your life, I'm asking. When you cannot manage your mind, can you manage the world? Please, all the students, you must understand, peace is not at the end of your life. It must be the beginning of your life. It's a most fundamental requirement, isn't it? If you want to do anything sensible, even if you're not blissed out, at least you must be peaceful. Less than that is bad.
Good afternoon,
Namaskaram,
Sadhguru.
Sadhguru.
Good evening, Sadhguru.
Where
My
are-
name is…
Where are
Okay,
you?
there's just an announcement.
My name is…
This will be the last question. We're so sorry, we are running out of time. So this one will be the last question.
Namaskaram.
Good… Good evening,
Oh,
Sadhguru.
sucks.
My name is Nit…
Okay, the last two questions.
Yes, please, yourself.
Please go ahead with your question.
My question for you today is, as you just said that…
Can you hold the microphone like this?
Yes.
You know, like this, you seen Lady Gaga? Like that, yeah.
So, you just said that we humans should use our organs wisely so that they last us for a lifetime. But on the other hand, we are seeing that today's youth are more inclined towards drinking, weed and smoking. So how do you think should we raise the consciousness towards them, or how can an individual like me can help at least one or two to realize that these things are not good for health?
One or two, make up your mind, huh?
Two, sir.
Wow, how do you answer that kind of question? I mean, some people drink, like, drinking is okay, and I'd say, again, everything in moderation to a degree. Now, I don't know what the downside of weed is. Although cigarettes, they say it's your lungs. Then you hear stories where people who smoke and drink like crazy live longer than people who exercise. But that's probably an outlier because you know, generally speaking, they don't last. The people who drink a lot and smoke a lot don't last long, and when you find one that do, it becomes amazing. I mean, drinking is one thing. It's not necessarily bad for you. Like having a one or two here, it's not that bad. As a matter of fact, I hear drinking like a glass of red wine a day is actually pretty good, but I don't know if that's changed or not yet. You know, so don't quote me on that. But smoking is a little bit different. Obviously, you're putting nicotine and tar into your lungs. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can just talk to them as much as possible. Show them the facts, you know, about people who smoke. There are people out there who develop like throat cancer, gum cancer, lung cancer from smoking. Not all, but you know, why run that risk of doing it to yourself? That's the best you can really do. Is just go out there, you know, tell them that drinking is not that bad, but of course in extreme moderation. But smoking, on the other hand, can be damaging for even the one time. But again, if you only smoke one time in your entire life, that's not that bad. But it's the continuing use of it. Much like alcohol, drinking one time a day is not that bad. But if you drink like 50 of them, you might be in trouble.
So, when somebody has tasted some pleasantness, either to drug or drink or sexuality or whatever, they tasted some pleasantness. If there was no pleasantness, they wouldn't have gone that way. But the pleasantness may suck them into destroying their body, that's another matter. But the pleasantness is such that even in spite of the threat, cigarette smoking is going, you know, injurious to you and you show some cancerous mouth, all this, but still people are smoking because there is a pleasantness attached to it,
It's actually addiction.
whatever the consequence may be. If you want to get people out of that pleasantness, if you try this forcefully, well, it's not worked. What's the point doing something forcefully? Or first of all, what's the point doing something that doesn't work? You must offer them a pleasantness which is beyond that. You're a bit too far away. But Ria, look at my eyes and see, don't I look stoned? No, just look at me properly. I'm always stoned. I'm always stoned, never touched a substance. I'm asking you, is it true that this body is the most sophisticated and complex chemical factory on the planet? If you were a good CEO, would you manufacture what you want? When somebody gives you such a complex machinery, would you not manufacture what you want?
Like…
Right now, you are busy manufacturing unpleasantness.
Oh, yeah.
You may call it stress, you may call it anxiety. Essentially, you're chemically screwed up. Yes or no?
Well, I wouldn't say you're chemically screwed up. I will say you're producing the wrong chemistry. Your chemistry, your chemical stuff is working properly, clearly, because you are feeling something, but you're just producing the wrong stuff.
Because you don't know how to manage this. If you manage this well, you will produce that kind of pleasantness within you. You wouldn't want to touch anything else, because this life is… Just being alive is such a fantastic thing. But unfortunately, did we teach our youth any other way to know pleasantness? We did not teach, so they are puss. It's time. This is what consciousness means, that if you become conscious how this functions, naturally you will create highest level of pleasantness for yourself, isn't it? If you could sit here and be absolutely blissed out, would you smoke? I'm asking you. Would you? You wouldn't smoke, drink or pop anything because there is more chemistry here than you can get in any of those things. Is there or no? There is more complexity of chemistry here or no? Question is only, have you explored this possibility? That's the only thing. Unfortunately, we have taken to Western ways, whether it comes to health or pleasure, both ways we pop. We pop something to be healthy chemicals, to be peaceful chemicals, to be joyful chemicals, to any experience chemicals, even to grow food chemicals, to filter water, purify water chemicals. Something that kills all the insects and worms and germs and whatever, you think it's not killing you in some way? Maybe slowly the dose is not enough, that's all. Hello? The dosage is not enough. For the small creature, small dose, big creature, big dose, isn't it? So for everything chemicals. So this is something, this is a responsibility that's sitting on our heads right now. This is… The way the world is going right now, I estimate, unless we do something drastic in the next 10-15 years' time, I estimate in another 50 to 75 years' time, almost 90 to 95% of the humanity will be on chemicals for everything. To be healthy, to be peaceful, to be joyful. Already consumption of this has gone up 10,000% in the last 25 years. Yes or no? Hello, has it not gone up 100 times? Because other things that people promised elsewhere are all collapsing. People told you it doesn't matter, you're miserable, when you go to heaven everything will be wonderful. But slowly in your mind, the hope of heaven is collapsing. Maybe you still don't dare to utter it, but it's collapsing, isn't it? Yes or no? So you want to do everything here, but nobody taught you how to do it in such a way you can have the highest level of pleasure and still it'll enhance your life. This needs a little application. Unfortunately, we have not explored. If you do not raise human consciousness to a point where a whole lot of human beings know how to do things within themselves, if this does not come in the society, 90 to 95% of the population in 50 years or plus will be on chemicals. Now, this is not a moral issue for me. If 95% of the humanity goes on chemicals, the next generation that we produce will be a generation which is much less than ourselves. See, the purpose of next generation is
Better.
somehow, at least one notch, they must be better than us. If we produce a generation which is worse than us, this is a crime against humanity. We have taken humanity backwards. And once you do that, afterwards we don't know what the next one will do. See, this is not some prediction by looking at astrological stuff, looking at the human mind. When all these machines come, when this chemical usage goes out of control, you should not be surprised in another 60 to 75 years' time, if a huge percentage of population is committing suicide. You should not be surprised at all, because a human being doesn't need just pleasure, he needs a purpose.
And yeah, that is something kind of crazy in America. There's like, I don't know. I've been looking at some news and stuff, and it seems like it's getting pretty crazy. It's because in America, it's the purpose seems to be victimhood mentality, and that's genuinely sad. And the fact victimhood mentality along with uniqueness. And what I mean by that, it's like they want to be something special without actually doing something special. So they want to be unique. How else can I say this? So kind of like, say someone develops a product that helps so many people. That person becomes famous, really well known, unique, because he's done something that no one else has done. So in America, there are people out there trying to be unique. It's like, I'm this thing that no one else has been, therefore I'm unique. They want to be special without having to do anything special other than just a mere title. It's kind of really crazy. It's crazy.
But one thing that happens to you with chemical usage is you lose a sense of purpose, your pleasure, but no purpose. So there are various kinds of pleasures. There are intellectual pleasures, there are physical pleasures, there are other dimensions of pleasures, there are emotional pleasures, the pleasure of activity. Climbing a mountain can be a great pleasure, though there is a lot of pain in the body. Yes or no?
Oh, real quick with that one too. Holy crap! Sadhguru pointed out one. Pleasure without purpose. Another thing that I'm seeing in the quote-unquote dating market when I watch certain videos on YouTube, where you're starting to see like the hookup culture, which a lot of people, a lot of women are not liking, but they're very much participating in it, and they're starting to reap the consequences of it. And don't get me wrong, men are having consequences of it too, but it's just a little bit different for men. It's because of how the dating strategies and mating strategies for male and female. But you know, and when you watch certain dating stuff, you can see how the dating strategy for a male and a female is a bit different. You'll understand why when he says pleasure without purpose makes a lot of sense. Drugs are very much into that as well. A lot of pleasure with no purpose. So once the drugs is gone, you never had a purpose for that pleasure in the first place. So you have to hit up more drugs to get that pleasure. But if you have a purpose, you can do that purpose to gain pleasure. It's a pleasure with purpose. I guess you can have torture with purpose, but pleasure with purpose, that means you can do that. That purpose serves a greater good or betterment of something. And it's something that's generally not attached to like drugs or something. So you can do that purpose with pleasure. And I guess what Swami Sarvapriyananda talks about, the four actually, buying something for yourself, doing stuff for yourself, like buying a purse or car or whatever gives you temporary short-term pleasure. 2, working a job that it serves a little bit of a purpose, but you may hate the job, but at least it's something, and it allows you to buy number 1, new stuff. And then third purpose, which grants you longer happiness, is serving other people, especially if you enjoy it. In my job, I enjoy helping people, and it stimulates 2 things. 1, I enjoy helping people. I like talking to them. I'm joking around a lot. And 2, if I can't fix it right away, it stimulates my intellect, my mind, to try to figure out what's going on wrong right there. So it's a double whammy right there. And the fourth one, Swami Sarvapriyananda talks about, is Turiya, your true self, whenever you turn, which Sadhguru talks about here, is the bliss within you. Or for me, it's contentment.
So if we do not explore other dimensions, everybody will fall back on chemicals. When this happens, you will see the suicide rate in the world will increase enormously. I must tell you this, I grew up in early 70s and whatever. At least 12, 13, if I count little faraway friends also, nearly 14 people. All my age, we were all like, on motorcycles and trekking and doing crazy things in the mountains, all kinds. But a whole lot of them, at least 60% of them at that time went on drugs and alcohol. A few of us stayed out of it, but rest went on it heavily. We were all together, but they were all half the day they were sozzled out.
Sozzled.
You have to find a time to wake them up. But we were together. At least 14 of them died before they reached 35. Either drugged out, or they killed themselves with excessive drinking, or they died on the motorcycles riding crazy on intoxicated conditions. 14 of my friends died before they reached 35. That number is going to increase phenomenally if we go in this direction. This is a backward step in life. It is not a question of morality. It is a fundamental thing about life itself. So whether it's in agriculture, or purification of water, or daily consumption of prescription medication, this is rising like crazy, this is not good. And these kind of, what do you call them, recreational drugs. If the chemical consumption increases, humanity will take a backward step. We should not let that happen. For this, the only and only solution is, we must create a conscious human being. Raising human consciousness is the most important thing. For this, the important thing is to move everybody from belief systems to responsibility, because we have managed humanity with carrot and stick.
These are the two things I thought I forgot at one point, strangely enough, but the two things I push is understanding and responsibility. Not necessarily in that order, but those two things. Responsibility, because it empowers you to know that you can do something, and understanding so that you're not frustrated or stressed out. Because if you understand something, generally speaking, you don't get stressed out of it because you know why it happened. If you don't know why something happened, generally speaking, you will be stressed out. And that's a whole nother story of how not to be stressed out about things you don't know about. But at least those two, I would say, it's a very good step in the right direction. Being empowered and understanding so you know why something happens. And the only thing I can say about if you don't know what something happens is not to be stressed out, which is very easy to say, trust me. But at least, if you understand that you're seeking the answer for it, that should reduce your stress. Again, I'm merely saying this because it's something that I do and I understand. It's why I'm generally not stressed out. And mind you, having a predictable life is not stress-inducing either. So maybe that helps too. A day in, day out, mundane life that everything's almost the same every day. So it's like, well, that's the way it is.
See, if you do all this thing, if you drink alcohol here, we'll put you in hell and torture you forever. So that man stayed away from drink. And we told you, don't worry, in heaven, rivers flow with wine. We have managed humanity like this for a long time. See, all of you are laughing, but the previous generations genuinely believed it, isn't it? Yes or no?
Your belief system, yeah.
So now heavens have collapsed in people's minds. They are trying to do their own little heaven here. You cannot stop them unless you provide a credible alternative. Thank you.
And I'm wondering if credible is something not necessarily for everyone that's credible, that this one idea is credible for everyone, but a credible idea for the individual, so that one credible idea may only work for that one person, or maybe 50 people, or 1 million people, but it's not going to work for everyone. I wonder if he means it that way too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sadhguru.
Sadhguru, just
You also.
This will be the last question.
Yes.
Sadhguru, on one occasion you mentioned that there is no purpose to life and that life in itself is a phenomena beyond any purpose. Sadhguru, my question is, if there is no purpose to life and if the eventual destination of every life is death, then why do we need to live consciously?
Well, how would I answer this? Mind you, this is a Sadhguru question, not mine. I would say I very much agree with what Sadhguru said there. You know, there is no purpose. Well, there is an animalistic purpose to life, which is just to reproduce. That's what we were animals. We are animals, as a matter of fact. We just developed the brain and became more intelligent. And some animals are displaying emotions and intelligence like us. It's just that ours is significantly more. And so the purpose that we had was survival and reproduction. Now that we've beaten that to a lot of degrees, not completely, now we have the freedom to create our own purpose in life. This is now, your purpose in life now is not just to survive and reproduce. It can be whatever you want it to be. That's the beauty, which Sadhguru would say, your purpose of life is to experience life. Probably. I'll predict that. But it's true, though. To experience life how you want it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can't control everything, but you still have the ability, like Sadhguru said, to control whatever it is that goes on in your body. Your environment, on the other hand, is a little bit of a different story.
And plus, Sadhguru, you carry a magic of your own. I've been smiling for the last 4 hours. I've never done this before in my life.
You're a young man and you never smiled for 4 hours? What happened? Are you also in love with the same girl?
Oh no!
Because the girl doesn't know, poor girl. All right? Now, see, suppose you sit here right now and you're ecstatic. Would you ask what is the purpose of life?
No. You're happy where you're at.
Would you? Your experience is so fantastic. Would you ask what is the purpose of life? No.
No.
Because to be alive is a purpose by itself. Now life has become a little burdensome. You're carrying the vegetable bag and going home. What is the purpose of life? You're doing things that you don't like to do. What is the purpose of life, isn't it? Somehow it's become burdensome. When you're 5, 6 years of age, when you're just bubbling around, did you ask what is the purpose of life? You became like this.
No, you're just doing it.
What is the purpose of life?
Having fun.
So this need for purpose has come simply because most people have not tasted life, except in their childhood. When I say they have not tasted life, right now the only 2 things they're experiencing is their physiological structure and psychological structure. As we already went through this process, both your physiology and psychological structure have been gathered from outside, isn't it? So there is no taste of life. So now you're asking, what is the purpose of life? Because you lost the connect with life. In your mind, in your intellect, logically you ask this question, but the life within never asks the question, isn't it? Even an ant wants to live, try to hold it and see.
It'll bite
Does
you.
it want to live? Does it do everything possible to live? Yes or no? Because life is a purpose unto itself. It's a phenomena beyond all silly purposes we can find in our life, in our intellect. Whatever silly purposes we find in our mind are absolutely silly compared to the tremendous phenomena that we call as life. But right now, you are just a bundle of thought, emotion, ideas, opinions, ideologies, belief systems and prejudices. No life. Life is not happening, only thought is happening, isn't it? Hello? Because of that, you are asking what is the purpose of life. And you said that, and now you're saying, what is the point? Eventually I will die. So what do you want to do? You want to die today? No, it will come. If this question becomes very deep, then the next question is to be or not to be. Once the question comes, We just have to provide you with 2 meters of rope, that's all. And little encouragement. That girl has to disappoint you.
You need a roof too, to hang the rope. Come on, Sadhguru.
See, today you lost all your money, let's say. Then you say, what is the purpose of life? I want to die, no money, what to do? Check with your life. Close your mouth, hold your nose like this and see. The life within says, to hell with your money, man, I want to live. Yes or no? This girl, she left and went away, she finished her program, she doesn't know, she went home. My love, gone. What is the point of living? I want to die. Just hold. Just to hell with her, let's live. Yes or no? Whenever you think the purpose of life is lost, just hold your nose for 2 minutes. You will know this one wants to live.
Didn't say anything about
Yes
the
or no?
mouth.
So, life does not need a purpose because it's a phenomena beyond all invented purposes that human beings make up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sadhguru. Extend our heartfelt gratitude to everybody who has been present here. To Sadhguru, of course, I believe we have all learned a lot more than what we have learned in all these years of our existence. Thank you so much once again, Sadhguru. Thank you to the team. Thank you to NEHU and everybody who has come here. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry all your questions could not be addressed. We're running out of time. But do follow his videos. You will get most of your answers in them. And we hope, Sadhguru, you come to Shillong once again, once or twice or many more times, yet again and again.
If you stop calling me mainland, I will come here
Okay, sure.
every year.
Okay, and yeah, Sadhguru is right. You know, there doesn't have to be a purpose to life, but you can create a purpose for yourself. And that purpose can change from time to time. The greater the purpose, generally speaking, the greater the joy. But do understand it is still all in the material realm and all temporary. If you understand that, then no, even when the purpose is done, you'll feel joy afterwards. I have served my purpose. Now I'll find me another one. This is why I explain understanding. It's because when you buy things or whatever, I'm gonna. Do I have it? No. Anyways, whenever you buy things and you understand, it'll make you happy for a little bit, and you're good with that. You're okay with that. You buy it, you're happy. Not happy. The what they call the honeymoon period's gone for like a brand new phone or brand new car or brand new house, and then you understand it's like, yeah, I knew it was going to be just for a few minutes. I'll buy me something else. You know, or maybe not, you know. I understand that it's going to be a temporary happiness and it's not going to give me long-term happiness. When you start to understand that, things become a little bit easier, and perhaps even in your life, because you know that buying whatever is not going to make you happy for very long. And you say, well, if it doesn't make me happy for very long, what can I do to make me happy for a long time? Obviously, the ultimate one would be to be blissed out, to be enlightened, to understand that, you know, things in the material realm is all temporary, so you have to be content with yourself. Or you can continue to set purposes in your life, you know, but again, the thing is to be content with yourself, to be okay with yourself, because while you're seeking these purposes, you have to be okay with yourself. Without being content, without being okay with yourself, without being bliss or enlightened, well, you don't have to be enlightened. I mean, to be content, you don't have to be enlightened. That's a very, you know, I'll say that. So, because, you know, obviously not everyone can be enlightened, but people can be content. People can be mostly content. I don't want to say happy. I was going to say happy, but content. And then to continue to do purposes in your life, you know. Maybe your purpose is to be was it bhakti yoga? I don't know what to call the terminology for the person that follows that path. But to serve, if there's a deity that you worship, to serve the deity, to do great things in the world, or to serve humanity, which would be my thing, kinda, to a degree. I can't serve everyone, obviously. I am but one person, but you know, serve in whatever way I can. But yeah, I hope that makes sense because we're running to an hour right now. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.